It's simple. So recently I've been obsessed with knife throwing scenes in movies. And it all started when I watched Die Hard 3 again the other month. Specifically this scene, some 11 minutes in, where this happens.
Hey, Suits, it's a friend of yours?
He looked like a friend of mine. I think the dude just escaped from some hospital, you know, like Bellevue.
I am the voice of my own God. And my God.
Now, it's no Chuck Norris catching a knife mid-air and throwing it back. But still, I wondered, how would they have actually pulled this throw off? Number one, knife sharp, so there's no way he's actually throwing a real knife at Bruce Willis. But two, knife stab board, so it has to be sharp. And then I remembered a filmmaker's best friend. Despite what you might think, filmmakers love blur. For one, it helps communicate speed. Stuff like car chases or car races need to feel fast. It's one of the main reasons why most films aren't shot at 60 frames per second. The more frames per second, if the shutter angle remains consistent, the less blur you get. And this lack of motion blur on moving things makes everything feel weird. And by the way, motion blur wasn't invented by filmmakers. Your eyes did that a long time ago. Try it. Hold your hand out in front of you and wave it around as quickly as you can. That's a blurry meatball. So really, films are just trying to emulate how you see the world around you so it feels as natural and immersive as possible. But that's not to say you can't mess with the rules. Spielberg shot the Omaha Beach scene in Saving Private Ryan at a much narrower shutter angle to remove some of that motion blur to make the horrific moments of that scene feel hyper-real. But anyway, basically, motion blur is very handy, and it doesn't just help with speed. It turns out it's really great at hiding things, too. A lot of long takes or oneers in film and TV use the motion blur created by quick pans to hide cuts. Birdman did it. The Revenant did it. And so did Mr. Robot. Even TikTokers use it. I mean, hiding cuts inside quick pans is how we got this trend.
Look at the sign. Come look at the sign. Look at it. What is that name? Like, bruv, come look. Come look at the sign.
And it's also how this shot from Die Hard 3 was made possible too. And if you slow it down, you'll see it. Right there. A cut. From shot 1 with our knife man throwing the knife to shot 2 where the knife is already in the board. You can actually see the moment the knife disappears as it cuts and then reappears already in the board. But the thing that pulls it all together is, of course, the sound. That little impact sound effect does a lot of the heavy lifting to make you feel like the knife just landed in its final resting place despite it being there the whole time. I mean, that's kind of what I did. Because it was just me, myself, and a tripod, I used the tripod to extend my shot's framing by just panning and stopping the tripod over and over until I reached where I wanted the pan to end up. Now that we had me throwing the knife and the final framing, we set up the shot with the knife in me and rolled on my reaction. Then I took the footage into After Effects and combined the series of shots together to create this extended version of the scene. This basically allowed me to perform the pan inside the edit and perfect the timing of my throw. After Effects also has motion blur emulation built in, which we need, obviously, to hide the knife disappearing between shots, just like in Die Hard 3. I also recorded this piece of paper with some shapes on it to help track some natural camera movement inside After Effects to turn this obviously locked off VFX shot into something a little more human. And with a little finessing and some sound effects, of course, you've got a pretty believable knife throw. But that's all well and good if you're a movie character. Luckily though, if you are a real person and you want to learn real skills, you've got today's sponsor, Skillshare, to help you out. This ain't a knife. This is a knife class, all about how to chop like a chef. Wow, look at her go. It's one of the thousands of classes available on Skillshare, each crafted by industry experts across all different kinds of subjects, from business and productivity to design and film, like this brilliant storyboarding class I've been taking. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, which makes it the perfect place to learn something new or to sharpen the skills you already have. And if you're one of the first 500 people to use the link in the description, you'll get 1 month free to trial everything Skillshare has to offer. So get started today. What have you got to lose? It's free. And a big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now these throws are effective, but you don't always need a pan to pull them off. Sometimes all you need is a cut. With this knife throw from The Matrix, production already has the knife in position. You just can't see it. And it's the added impact sound effect and the actor's movement that convinces you otherwise. For instance, here's just the reaction shot without the sound effect. Army of One with Nick Cage did the same thing in this scene.
Night of Kings.
Damn it! Gary, not again!
Here they would have just told Will Sasso to react to the hit with the knife already in him, connected to his chest by one of these metal plates. A little sound effect, then you're set.
Damn it! Gary, not again!
With the sound effect removed, this is probably what it would have looked like on set.
Damn it! Gary, not again!
But then, how did they do this in Scorsese's Gangs of New York?
You may feel more comfortable without that garment, Miss Everdeen.
Good question. I have no idea.
You'll have to filch me a new one, Bill.
Is what I would have said until about 30 minutes ago. 30 minutes ago, I was ready to accept defeat. Weeks of research had got me no closer to the answer. I was really cut up about it. And Scorsese not saying a single word during this whole sequence on the audio commentary was the last straw.
Say something, goddammit!
But that was 30 minutes ago. Now I'm 92.8% sure I know how they did it. And the answer came from the most unlikely of places, a school play. But it didn't start here. My journey to the answer actually began with one final desperate Google search that led me here, to the Community Theatre Discussion Board. 16 years ago, in 2008, Moonface 103 was about to direct a theatre production of The Pyjama Game, and apparently they were in need of a knife board trick thingo. Going by the replies, this knife board was some sort of contraption used for knife throwing scenes on stage. Which is interesting because the knife throwing scene in Gangs of New York also takes place on a stage. And by the way, if you're yelling at your screen right now because you think you know the answer because you watched some creepy dude with a white mask in the 90s,
Shut up!
Now, I'd never heard of this Pyjama Game play, so I googled the Pyjama Game knife throw. And after realizing that the US spell pajamas differently than the rest of the world, I took a look at the results. The first few were videos of this scene from the play, like this one from a high school rendition of the play from 2010. And immediately, I knew I was onto something. This video from 2016 shows it a little clearer. I mean, that looks awfully familiar. And then I find this video, posted on May 10th, 2010. And I'll let the genius that is Uberfi speak for himself.
It runs on 2 tracks of 3/4 inch PVC tubing here and here. I have 2 versions of this, one where the knife comes out at a 90-degree angle, and this one that comes out at a 45-degree angle. So this will be mounted flush to an outer wall with a hole in the wall right here, so the knife can pop out, and the hole would be covered with something like, either elastic or spandex, 2 pieces with a slit in it so it can pop through the hole and still close back up to mask the fact that there was a hole there in the first place. So here it's triggered. Someone on the back side of the wall, all they have to do is pull that little elbow clip and it pops out very quickly.
So potentially, the knives were never thrown at Diaz. They came from behind her, through the wall. And you can clearly see those holes that Ubify mentions in Cameron Diaz's garment, clear as day. But the knife clearly enters the frame from the left. Well, not on set it didn't. I'd bet the house on those frames being completely VFX. I mean, it's literally 2 frames. 2 frames of VFX, and then practical knife. Ubify's setup took 2 frames to do its thing, using just a few rubber bands. So if the production on Gangs of New York went a little more robust on their contraption, I'm sure they could have rigged something that went twice as fast. And twice as fast would mean 1 frame our knife's hidden, and the next, it's not. And now it all makes perfect sense. I couldn't find any information on this movie trick because it's not a movie trick. It's a magic trick.
You up there! You want
Watch this!
I heard that! Come here, you coward! You! Yeah, you! You want to make an issue of how Go ahead! Get this here too! I'll shout you up and back! What's the matter?
What happened?
Can you do better? Go on, try.
To throw it?
Of course.